I'm really looking forward to sharing this conversation with you. You might recognize him from the anchor desk for CTV News Channel, but Todd Vanderheyden has a lot more to his story than journalism. For the last 5 years, Todd and his partner Michael have been through a difficult and emotional journey trying to become fathers through surrogacy. Todd, who is now a board member for the Fertility Friends Foundation, is raising awareness around what it takes to become a parent as somebody who is part of the LGBTQ2S+ community. And Todd is with us in studio this morning. Thank you so much for coming in. It's a very powerful article. I'd encourage anybody to read it.
So thanks
we're going to talk a bit about that today. So you said the most difficult part of this journey is the feeling of powerlessness. What did you mean by that?
Anne-Marie, absolutely. This is the big issue, is that you have very little power to sort of control your destiny. There are so many other players who are part of the whole process, if you're dealing with fertility issues, that you really are at the mercy of them. There are, to a certain extent, it's a profit-based industry. There are agencies involved, a lot of different people who are involved, lawyers and whatnot. And so you do your best, you follow the rules, but you're really putting it in the hands of other people. And one of the biggest challenges that we've had is accepting that really we have very little power at the end of the day to decide sort of what's going to happen, how it's going to play out, and ultimately if we're going to succeed and become dads.
Well, let's talk about the process, because I think it's new for a lot of people. And walk us through where this journey starts, specifically with the fact that you need two agencies, one for egg donors and one for a surrogate.
It is very complicated and it can be overwhelming, and anyone who's thinking about it needs to brace themselves because it's hard to keep track of. But bottom line is, yes, you need two different agencies. One to help you find an egg donor who will be technically the biological mother of any baby that's born. You also need a separate surrogate, a separate woman who will actually carry the baby to term. That's done because by Canadian law, they're concerned about there being separation issues, postpartum, all these different things that obviously happen. So by having two separate women, they can try and mitigate some of those issues. The surrogate also has to have children of her own for that same issue. So it becomes very complicated,
Yeah, how much do couples typically need to budget for this process?
If it goes well and everything kind of falls the way it's supposed to, it could be upwards of $80,000. If it doesn't, you're talking about $100,000, $150,000.
And you say in the article, this is what you and your partner have spent to date around that amount.
and the meter is still running, so to speak, and that's one of the reasons why I joined this Fertility Friends Foundation, is because they help to give grants to people, right? Canadian families, couples from all walks of life who are dealing with this kind of thing, because the money is just overwhelming.
Yeah, and we should point out, too, that in Canada, you are not allowed to pay a surrogate for those services.
No.
You provide financial funding for the services around that. Is that correct?
You do. It's called reimbursements. So the surrogate will provide you with a number of different literally receipts that may or may not be handled by an agency, and then the money gets transferred through to that. But it's not paying for it, it's reimbursing costs surrounding it.
Okay, let's get back to your story. So after you found an egg donor and then a surrogate, what happened?
It didn't work. We tried 4 transfers with a fertility clinic here in Toronto, and nothing worked. So we had to start over again. We had to create new embryos with a new...
So a new donor.
A new donor, and find a new surrogate. We created new embryos, and at the last minute, the surrogate we found had issues at home, and she had to back out. So then we had to find a third surrogate and start the process again with her. And this is a long, involved process. You have to match with them. It is an emotional roller coaster. It is very psychologically, overwhelming sometimes, financially, as I mentioned. And a lot of times you just want to give up because you're like, this is obviously not meant to be, the running out of money, everything seems to be going wrong. And, a lot of these agencies, with all due respect to them, they don't really quite explain how things can go wrong. The worst case scenario is never properly kind of discussed. It's a profit-based industry, right? So I thought, the worst that's going to happen is maybe it'll take a year or two maximum. I mean, we're now at 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
4 years and 150, and as you said, it's still, the drill's still running.
100%.
Can you tell everybody where you're at today? Because you have some news to share of what's happened this week.
I do. Good news that I wanted to share with you and everyone watching is that we have just done a transfer. So the third surrogate has come through. We did a transfer in the last day or so, and we now wait to see if it actually takes. And we have a number of other embryos that are literally on ice, so to speak. So if it doesn't work, we have other options that we can try. And she takes a pregnancy test in about a week, and we'll see how it plays out.
Please keep us updated here at Your Morning.
100%.
We would love to know.
I will, yeah,
And Todd, thanks for coming on to share your story.
100%, yeah. It's important, I think, for people to know, to normalize this. And people, even in the LGBTQ community, realize we can be parents. It just takes a little bit more work and money.
Yeah. Todd, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you, Anne-Marie.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.